Eh, ya estamos en directo ya. Genial. Bueno, a la comunidad, a los que nos están viendo y a los que nos verán después por la hora, les quiero dar la bienvenida de parte de toda la comunidad, de parte del staff. Y esta vez tenemos un Hangout de calidad, como los que hemos tenido últimamente, y eso nos alegra bastante, ¿ya? Gracias Felipe y gracias Heather también por aquí darse el tiempo de estar y compartir con nosotros sus conocimientos. Así que ahora los voy a dejar yo personalmente a cargo de Felipe y Heather para que eh, continúen con el Hangout. Yo voy a estar revisando las preguntas, así que si tienen preguntas, déjenla en español nomás y con Felipe la vamos a traducir. Bueno, él la va a traducir, no yo. Y eh, pueden ser por Slack, puede ser por YouTube, Twitter, yo voy a estar atento a todo eso. Así que esperemos que sea un genial Hangout como siempre. Y bueno, lo dejo a cargo de Felipe ahora. Así que suerte, vamos.
Vamos. Gracias, Kevin. Hola de nuevo a todos. Ya es la segunda vez que aparezco por estos lares. Espero que les guste este Hangout. Bueno, con Kevin hemos venido organizando este Hangout en miras de un desafío que vamos a lanzar durante el MeetUp de la comunidad el próximo 15 de abril acá en Santiago, del cual podrán ser partícipes también las personas de regiones que están en la comunidad. Y que, bueno, no les queremos entrar en mucho detalle, pero tiene que ver con lo que vamos a hablar hoy día, que es GitLab y GitLab Pages, que sirve para mostrar contenido estático de sitios web. Eh, Así que le pedimos a la genial Heather que nos acompañara durante esta tarde. También hay que agradecerle, son las 11 de la noche donde ella vive. Así que es muy tarde allá y así que esperamos que salga todo genial y vamos con Heather ahora. Estamos viendo preguntas, así que eso. Heather.
Hello, how are you? It's not too late. It is a bit late, but I'm happy to be here. So thank you. And I'm very sorry that I don't speak any Spanish. Oh, so I appreciate anyone who's watching. And Felipe, as you explained, will help to sort out some questions you might have. So I'm going to start today by talking about GitLab, as I think you've already said. And then after that, we're going to just actually go and do a quick demo of GitLab and just how it works. And then I'm going to give you a chance to ask questions, and after that, we'll go to GitLab Pages. I'm pretty sure that's what you've just said. Is that right, Felipe? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And now you've heard it in English. Fantastic. Great stuff. So I'm going to share my screen. I think that's the best way to show you what I've got. Okay. All right. Oh, bear with me a second. Actually, right. Okay. I'm going to make this nice and big, hopefully. Okay, should be nice and clear for you, I hope. So welcome to the world of GitLab, where everyone can contribute. And this is really our prime directive and the most important thing to know about GitLab. It underlies absolutely everything that we do. My name's Heather McNamee. I'm on Twitter and GitLab as @nearlythere, and I'm the developer marketing manager at GitLab. So I wish I could know if you're using GitLab already, and I'd love to know if you're already using Git and version control. Before this presentation, I spoke with Felipe, and he said the types of people watching this presentation might be definitely new to GitLab, possibly have heard of GitLab, but maybe new to version control and may have been using version control. So I'm going to assume that from the start. GitLab is a place where you can collaborate on code. It has continuous integration built in. There's a monthly release. We release faithfully the same day every single, same day of every month, which means it changes very quickly, and that is something our users really like. It comes in a few versions. We've got the Community Edition, which is the open source version of GitLab. And you can use that on premises, or you can pay us to manage it for you on githost.io. There's also the Enterprise Edition, and that is a paid license. That's $39 per user per year. And that's actually how we fund GitLab, the company, and the project. So we appreciate people supporting us by purchasing Enterprise Edition licenses. You can also buy options, and we make those additional so you don't have to pay for features that you're not using. And last thing to note is we're going to be using GitLab.com in this presentation today, which is free, unlimited, private, and public projects. I've said this several times in other presentations, and I probably can't say it more clearly enough, that it really is unlimited, that you can have as many projects as you want, and you can have them public and you can have them private. So unlike other services that may limit how many private projects you can have or how many users you can have per your projects, it's unlimited in GitLab.com. So that's why we're going to use that today. It's actually built on GitLab EE, so it's I guess a SaaS option or a software as a service demonstration of Enterprise Edition. So what can you do with GitLab? It's really a Git repository manager. There are other tools like GitHub and Bitbucket are some other popular Git repository managers. It's where you can organize and manage. We'll see in the demo some labels and milestones. It's where you can collaborate with other members. You can give them permissions and roles to collaborate. And you can also communicate. So a lot of what you're doing with GitLab is communication. So while there is line-by-line code review, much of the work that you do as a developer is discussing. So you're talking on threads or you're asking questions. And lastly, you can test and build using GitLab CI. We're actually going to be taking advantage of all of these tools while we're doing the demos today. GitLab is open source, and I think it's really worth pointing this out. We have over 1,000 contributors. Of course, this is a small, maybe small in terms of some open source projects you may be using all the time, but it's brilliant. I think this is an excellent number, and I think what you'll see is there's a really long tail of contribution. And some people see this, you know, if people make one change, one commit, they think, oh, that person's, you know, doing a drive-by. They call it drive-by commits. And I think that's actually a positive sign that if you're interested in contributing and learning Ruby, Go, or JavaScript, and you want to make improvements, you'll actually get mentored through your contribution. We have people who are sitting really waiting to hear from you and waiting to see your merge requests and to help you through that process. So we love to hear bug reports and feature proposals, and you can see where the product is going. So it's a nice thing about open source. We're also an open organization. We're a fully remote company. So as you know, I work with Felipe. We're in different parts of the globe. But for you as a user, why does it matter? The reason it matters for our users is because we're eating the dog food, as we say. You know, we're all working and using the product all of the time. Everybody in the company does. I'm not a developer. I work in the marketing team, and I use GitLab every day to collaborate. And we've actually gotten rid of some of our project management tools, and we're bringing some of those features into GitLab. And so it's great because you can see how we use the tool and see how we work. And of course, you can also see what we're working on. So we're very transparent, and you can see the direction of the company. This remote manifesto is an article that's quite popular on the site. You might be interested to read it after. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about the GitLab workflow. We're going to talk about a typical workday with GitLab. And I'm going to do this overview and then a live demo. Right, so I've put these out of order. It's hilarious. So the first thing we're going to look at is the to-do list. This is obviously a really great way to start your day because anytime that you're mentioned on an issue or a merge request, this will pop up on your to-do list. And these items are grouped by project, and you can see where you need to pay the closest attention. It's where your colleagues need some help, maybe where you're blocking something. That's what the to-do list is. Another thing we'll look at are merge requests. I highlight this because it's different on tools like Bitbucket and GitHub. They're called pull requests on those other services. We call them merge requests because that's actually what you're doing with Git itself, so that's a different naming convention. We also have something called a WIP status. Work in progress is, you can simply make something work in progress by typing WIP : and this prevents anybody accidentally merging something you have in progress, something that you're working on. So that's something specific to GitLab. And you have all of the same tools in a merge request that you have with your issues. So you're probably familiar with issue trackers and having threaded comments in your threads and labels, etc. You can have the same with merge requests. And finally, there's GitLab CI is another big difference with GitLab. Continuous integration, if you're not familiar with it, is a way that you can have builds done for your website to actually see, is this going to work? Is this change, is this merge request going to cause any errors? So if you had tests written, you could have your tests run whilst, or even before you accept a merge request, and you can automate this. And the more we automate, we know that the easier things get to maintain, or the easier things are to maintain. So I mixed up the slides. I'm really sorry about that. This is the next one. We also have line-by-line code review. So if you are submitting a merge request and you want to provide feedback, maybe you see some things not working, you can click on a line and add a comment to your colleague to tell them what your feedback is. So let's go look at a demo. I'm here in a project. Let's see what this looks like. If I'm looking at my own profile on GitLab, I can see that I have a number of groups I'm involved with. I have my gitlab.org and gitlab.com groups, and those groups, get those really quick, those groups are a way to collect various projects. And when I look at a project that I manage, I'll show you my awesome group. I can add projects to this, and I can change settings for my project. So here I am. I can change the logo of the project, and I can set whether it's public or private, and I can also organize what projects get included in these. Then I'm going to actually show you groups. Okay, so I'm just checking my own group, sorry. Whoop. Personal projects is what I'm going to show you next. So look at my personal project here. Sorry, already opened that. And within my project, I can show you the settings for that. So projects are a way to organize your repositories and anything related to what you're working on. A project would be, if you're building a piece of software, you would have its own. It would have its own project. And if you were, yeah, I guess that's a good way to describe it. So on other services, project can also be called a repository, but the reason we call this a project is because it's more than just the Git repository. There's a lot more in it. In addition to the files that I can see here, which are managed in Git, I can manage these completely through the command line. I also have another number of things I can't see through the command line, which would be issues and also merge requests. Just to open this up so you can see what I'm talking about. So I guess it's a little more clear, in my opinion, that these are called projects and not repositories. I hope that's clear from the demo. Let's look at a particular issue on this project. So here is an issue on my issue tracker, and I can see that some things need to get done, and I've maybe just completed a thing. I can tick it off. I'm going to go to edit this. And here we are editing an issue. If you're familiar with other issue trackers, you probably have the idea that you may be able to use Markdown. And this is simply a task list. And I don't yet have any milestones. We'll just save this here. So I've just made a change on the issue and finished some tasks. When I go back to the issue tracker, you can see that I have 4 tasks and there's 2 completed and 2 remaining. So this issue list here will give you an overview of pretty much everything that's being worked on at a time. So I'm going to create a new issue. So you haven't seen this yet. Suddenly can't think of anything to write. So I'm just saying there's definitely some problems. I'm going to assign it to myself at this point. I can assign to anybody who's involved in my project or type in their name. I don't have a milestone or label created at this point. Oh, sorry, a milestone created at this point. So I can just double check. Right. Okay, so this is a good thing to learn. You can't create milestones and labels on the fly at this time in GitLab, and I think there's definitely a feature request for that. So what we'll do is go back and create a label, and the label I want to add is a bug report or a bug, and change your background color for your label. So labels can be created as you need. They're totally arbitrary, and something nice about labels is that you can subscribe to the issues that get added to that label, or whenever that label is added to an issue, and or merge requests. So that's a nice way to keep updated about what's happening. So I'm going to go back to my issues, and one thing I can do actually, which is kind of cool, is if I had a milestone or if I wanted to change the status, I could actually do that from here. But if I want to go back and edit the labels, put in a bug, and the nice thing is, I think I've shown you a little bit that this is Markdown. You can get a preview of your comments as you're going through. So generally, what you're doing with issues, as we learned, of what I've learned from using GitLab and working with the team, is that a lot of the work happens in issues. So from the very start, when you come up with an idea, you'll be creating issues and you'll be doing all of your collaboration in here, and probably a lot less of it will be involved in actually making code or writing code. So that is a bit about issues. If I was going to look at an issue and I want to solve it, I would then be able to I could actually make a branch directly from here. I think if I'm just going to go back and check my demo, I'm only supposed to show you project organization and checking issues. I'm going to show you creating branches after we get through this. Just because I've shown you a few things, I'm going to ask you right now, before we move on to talk about some of the next sort of collaborative features of using GitLab, I want to ask if anyone has any questions.
So let me check. But till now, at least I'm clear. But I'm supposed to be clear about this stuff. So let me check with Kevin. Kevin, do we have any questions till now? It seems that we haven't.
No.
So there is one question. Is there any main difference between GitLab and GitHub? I will let you answer that one.
Okay, we can probably both try. I think that GitHub is absolutely fantastic. I think a lot of people are familiar with using GitHub with open source projects, especially in contribution. I think where the difference is, where the difference lies, is that GitLab is open source. GitHub hosts many open source projects, but the operational kind of side of GitHub is a bit of a black box for people, and you don't have a lot of control over the environment. And being able to use open source, being able to download it, modify it, and then make a contribution will create a different relationship between yourself and the software you use. I love open source. I've been using it for a really long time, and it really changes the way you think about things. So that is the big difference, is that GitLab is fully open source. The other thing is that, well, it's free. I mean, there's open source, they say free as in freedom, and then there's free as in beer. So it's free as in beer, and GitLab.com is also free as in beer. Even though it's actually the enterprise edition, you can still create unlimited projects and users. So with GitHub, there's a limitation of how many private projects I think you can have, and so that's a big difference. But of all of the Git repository services, there's almost feature parity. So you could say that there's limited differences in features, and the tools seem to leapfrog each other. And maybe in a way, by having the competition, the services are all getting better. So I think it's a very good thing. So anything you wanted to add, Felipe?
No, I agree. I will translate some parts. So básicamente lo que dice Heather es que, bueno, GitHub tiene cosas fantásticas también. Lo que sí, la diferencia principal es que GitLab es open source, GitHub no, lo que hace un poco la operación detrás de estas dos plataformas que parecen ser abiertas, bastante distintas. Nosotros somos bastante abiertos respecto a qué hacemos, y en GitHub no se sabe tanto, lo cual no tiene por qué ser necesariamente malo. Ya, hay otra pregunta. So there's another question. They're asking what's the usage of GitLab Pages, but we will get to that point in a second, I think.
Perfect question.
And I think we have another question. Do we have any CMS available? Like, I don't think so.
Well,
no.
I think GitLab Pages may answer that question, actually.
GitLab Pages can be your solution to replace a WordPress website. Yeah, and when did GitLab start?
2011, the project started, but the company started in 2013. That seems like good content I should add to the presentation. A little bit of history. I've forgotten some history there. I just learned the other day that when Dimitri, he started the software, he was living in Ukraine, and he was living in a house where he had to fetch his own water.
Wow.
He didn't have running water.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know.
That's a great story.
It is. It's also on a great podcast that Yob was on recently. So maybe after this we can send that link.
Yeah, we will send it to the community, definitely. So now we go
to the next section.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Okay, so you should see my screen now. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get started with GitLab Pages. You'll be sent this presentation, obviously, and the link that we're going to send you to is this landing page where you can get a quick start tutorial about GitLab Pages, but I'm going to walk you through this, and we'll refer back to this today. So GitLab Pages will allow you to create websites for any GitLab projects, for groups, or user accounts. You can use any static site generator, and I'm going to explain what that is. You can also connect to custom domains and use TLS certificates to secure your domain names. So HTTPS and secure domains are free with GitLab. You can also host your sites for free on GitLab.com. So this is a GitLab EE service, and yet it's free on GitLab.com, of course. So what is a static generator? Someone asked actually about a CMS, a content management system. And this isn't technically a content management system. It's a way of producing HTML files. So way back in the old days of early HTML development, our ancestors, ancient webmasters, use server-side includes, or they use tools to include, because they hated doing the same thing over and over, right? Every programmer hates doing the same thing over and over. And so they would use, put the header and the footer, and then template processing scripting languages such as PHP grew up around that time, or ASP. And those led into database-driven sites. So the static site generator is almost like an ancient form, because it's really just processed on the server, and it generates just basically HTML files. So you can have your source files can be markdown. I have an asterisk there. It can also be HTML, ASCII doc, restructured text. You're not limited to the markup. You can use scripts and images, any other assets you have, and these are usually processed by some type of compiler, and some type of static site generator is what we're talking about, and they pull together the source files and the templates and then generate your website, and that basically outputs static processed HTML. So the static generators you can use, I mean, you're really not limited. Another example here is, I guess on GitHub you can only use Jekyll as one static site generator, but there's actually quite a lot of them. Hugo is written in Go, Middleman and Jekyll are written in Ruby, but there are actually so many of these static site generators. So you're not limited on GitLab. You can use a lot of them. I'm just going to show you this group here. And we've created some example projects so you can actually see, oh, there's Pelican. I think that's Python. I could be wrong. Maybe someone will correct me. There's a lot of different ones. I guess it's just to show you, yes, you can absolutely have a plain HTML site, but you can use these static HTML generators. So you could actually just do a plain HTML site and it would be totally fine, not a problem. The reason you would use a static site generator, let me just go, I think these are out of order. We'll just do a comparison, so just to explain. When we talk about a content management system, or CMS, we're talking about usually a database-driven website. So some type of software, such as Drupal or WordPress, where you have people logging in, editing content, the data gets stored in a database, and the pages are usually built upon request. So someone makes a request for a page, and then the server generates it and outputs the HTML. So of course, if you have a lot of people visiting that site, you get performance problems, and they use caching. They actually use caching to turn it into static content that doesn't get generated every time someone tries to access the same page. So in that sense, the dynamic sites you may be used to you have a lot of possibilities there. You've got forms, you can have data storage, there's built-in comments, search. There's quite a lot you can do with a dynamic site. And what we're talking about is a static site. And that will allow no user login. You'll have to use external services for things like comments and search. But there's advantages too. It's very portable, so you can build it on GitLab.com, but it'll work on other services. And once you output your HTML, it just works. You don't have to export it or something like that. You can use it offline. Not a problem at all. And you also don't have to maintain software. So if you've been in the business of maintaining software, probably, if you're going into web development, you have some sense of the security issues that can arise on database-driven websites. You have a lot of user data or information, logins, passwords. You don't have to worry about that with a static site, so it's just flat files. So what we're going to show you today is the various types of sites you can actually get with GitLab Pages. You can have a user page. That's how I'll have mine configured, which is available at my username.gitlab.io. Group pages, which are at groupname.gitlab.io. These are actually pretty similar in the layout, but they set up or control where your project pages appear depending on where your projects are stored. So if you have a project that's at your username, and it's just on your personal account, then it'll be username.gitlab.io/project. Or if you have a project that's organized into a group, then you'd have groupname.gitlab.io. So I've explained that, but I think it might be worth just looking at this. Again, we go back to my account here. I have personal projects, which are, this here is at my username, so I'll just show you what this looks like. You can see my username and then project name. I'm sorry, it's really small. Whereas if I'm looking at a project that is inside a group, here we go. You can see that it's got a group name and then /project. So I hope it's clear then for you that you can have a page at your username or a group name, and the projects just depends on how you have them organized. So now we're going to do a demo of actually using the GitLab Pages site and create a branch. I'm going to make a commit, and we're going to make a merge request, and then you're going to see the history. So absolutely everything I'm going to show you today can also be done from the command line. So if you use Git from the command line, just to show you, everything that we'll show you can be done from here. Things like creating a branch or making a commit, etc. All right, so let me just close some things here. All right, so I've skipped over something. I forgot to show you something. I'm skipping ahead in my demo just to save time, but I want you to know that I'm starting with something I've made earlier. However, this is what you would have to do to start your GitLab Pages project. You would have to, what I would recommend, an easy, kind of lazy way to set up would be to go to the examples project that we looked at earlier, select one of these projects and fork it, and use that as the basis of your actual new website. There's nothing wrong with forking. There's nothing wrong with doing things the lazy way. I think it's commendable. If you're trying to choose which one, right now, everyone at GitLab wants to move over to Middleman. I don't know why. I think they think it's, and they've told me that it's really good, so I've chosen Middleman. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert on these various static generators, but I'm familiar with Markdown, and I think it at least works with Markdown, and I'm happy with that. I hope that's a good enough recommendation. Yeah, so that's where we're going to start. If you follow through all of these steps, by the end of it, you'll have a project started with your at your username, like I do. And just to show you the project configuration, because I didn't show you that. Sorry about this. This is I basically forked the Middleman project, and I've ended up with this here. I think I did show you this briefly, but I didn't explain. I changed my project name to be my username.gitlab.io, and this made it so that could be my username, the website based on my username. The project can actually be private. You don't have to share the source code of your website if you don't want to. So the project can be private and still produce a public website, which is good. I have also, to show you, I didn't set a project avatar. Here we go. So if you have to rename after you fork the middleman project, it'll say something like middleman. And what you'll do is change it to your username.gitlab.io. And the same thing here, specify where that project is. It's and what the path is username.gitlab.io. You'll get a warning about things breaking, but because you're starting the project, it should be fine. It will be fine. But that's basically all you have to set up there. And the other part that, again, this is all explained on the, if I'm going too quickly, it's all explained on this page, so it should work fine. What you'll do is enable shared runners. You can see I have it enabled. Just see something. I think I've actually, oh, okay. Yeah, there was a misplaced slide. I must explain this to you. So, shared runners, I should explain GitLab CI. Shared runners are virtual machines that are going to create our websites while we're testing them before they're built, and it's going to tell us if anything's going to break. And there are a number of runners already set up on gitlab.com, and you will have to wait in a queue, possibly. We're making some changes behind the scenes, so you won't have to wait as long, but today you may have to wait a little while with your shared runners. You may even see improvements on this by tomorrow, actually. I can also set up a specific runner, and this is actually really easy to do. And if you're concerned about, you know, where things are run or where they're done, you may want to set up a specific runner on your site. So continuous integration built into GitLab simply means that it's going to use this shared runner or this virtual machine to build our website for us. So when I talked earlier about a compiler that's going to take the static sites, let's look at the files actually while I'm talking about this. Oops, sorry. So this is what it looks like. I mentioned before about templates, and Middleman comes with some basic HTML layouts, for example, and it takes the content from your markdown files and then places it wherever it needs to be. So here it is, the current page title will become the title, and the body will be pulled in here. So this is the actual, say, template for this. So the compiler, or middleman in this case, will take the layout and pull in the content. I hope that came across. I think I may have gummed that up a little bit in the presentation. So, right, back to where we were. So here we are on our project, and I've created a bug that there's no CSS on the site. And what we're going to do is change some CSS or do some work on that. I've got the issue already created here, and I'm ready to work. And I'm going to use this create a new branch tool. If I was working from terminal, just to show you what that would look like, I would be doing like git checkout master, and I'll be pulling down a fresh copy, and I would do a git checkout e, and then say make a new branch. So you can do this completely from the command line. I'm on a different project here, so I'm kind of fibbing a bit, but this will save me the step, basically. What it's actually done is created a new branch. It's given the name of the branch is actually the issue title plus the issue ID. So just to prove the point, the issue ID is issue number 4. You'll notice if you want to refer to an issue, you can start typing in the number and put in the issue ID, and that will come up as the link. So this is referring to itself, but anyway, just so you understand that, that's where the title of the branch came from, or the name of the branch, that's where it came from. So here we are on the actual branch. You can see I'm in my repository, and this is inside the branch name, and I'm going to work on the source files. And as you probably guessed, you can, again, do all of this from the command line, which is nice, or you could be working in your, locally. I could actually clone this to work locally, download this to my local environment, and be editing in any text editor. But since we're here in the browser, I'm going to make it easy on myself and edit something. I'm pretty sure, I've not used middleman, as I said, I'm not an expert in middleman, but I'm pretty sure I shouldn't be hacking the actual CSS for the file. I should be creating my own custom CSS. So this is very hacky and probably horrible, and yet I'm going to continue to do this. So I'm going to make an edit here, and I'm going to change this to black, because why not? And that's my first commit message. I already have a target branch here. If I didn't, I could make a new branch there if I wanted to. But I'm going to just continue to use the branch name that's there. And if you're used to using Git from the command line, you're familiar with these things probably. So that is a commit made, and GitLab's given me an option now to create a merge request from here. It's also already formatted a message that says closes and then the number of the issue, which is really helpful. I'll show you what that does in a sec. So I've got a message here that says, accepting this merge request will close issue number 4. And if we go back over to the issue, you can see the relationship now between the related merge request and the issue that we're trying to solve, basically. So now that you've seen sort of some workflow things, I actually haven't shown you yet the site. Let's look at it for now. I mean, you can clearly see this is such a beautiful site. I think, you can see I haven't done a terrible lot of work here. I can also do some other changes whilst I'm working on this merge request. If I wanted to, I could change other things on other files. It doesn't matter too much, I suppose. Here we can see the merge request and what's actually going to get changed when I accept the merge request. And I mentioned before we can have line-by-line comments. If I wanted to tell somebody, oh, to change something, or I didn't like that, or whatever, that's where that would appear. And that pretty much, I'm just going to double check, make sure I've done the steps. Okay. So let's actually merge it, right? We want to accept this, this change. This is currently a work in progress, so I won't be able to merge this. So in order for me to merge it, I have to remove the WIP. So I would keep it in, once I started working on something, I would create it in WIP mode or work in progress mode, and as soon as it was available or ready to merge, I would remove that. So now I'm going to accept the merge request. Actually, build sketch. Well, that's in progress. I think maybe I've run into the area where I show that I don't really know what's going on right now. What's happened here is the merge build is in progress, but it's not going to build because the build's being skipped for this commit, and I couldn't actually tell you why that's the case actually. So when I demoed this before, everything worked peachy keen. So let's see what's happened on my site. It says it's actually merged. Okay, it's not going to have been. Yeah, bear with me a second. We'll go back and look at the files and look at the history of this. Actually, I promised to show you the history. Commit history, sorry. Here I am on master, so you can see that we're no longer on the branch that was created. And we've merged this branch in, and we can see the changes that have happened. Here's the commit that we just merged. So that should work, but I'm guessing that this didn't actually, the change didn't happen, and I'm doing a hard refresh. Yeah, so
yeah, it's running. It's running. In fact, I just checked.
Is it really? The build is running?
It says pending, so same that we ran into the in the last meetup that we did. It happened the same thing. So this is what happens when you go live.
Yeah, I was going to say that one nice thing that's happened recently on our blog, you can read about this, is that we've actually enabled, if you want to read about it, auto-scaling with GitLab Runner 1.1, and we're going to be adding this to GitLab.com tomorrow. It was meant to be done today, but I think we're working on it for tomorrow, so it's going to be a lot faster, and you won't get messages like this. So I'm very sorry about that.
But can you click on the second one so they can see how a build works? Like.
Yeah, that's a good here.
Go to a finished one.
Go to a finished one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finished one. Sorry. There we
That's
go.
Better.
So this actually, let me see if this used the shared runner here, and we ended up building a version of the site about 20 days ago when I last did this demo. So what ends up happening is we'll look at the YAML file, because you don't need to understand continuous integration to use GitLab Pages, because some of it's taken care for you. But it's basically running the script that will build and create the middleman site from the templates that we looked at and from the markdown that we created. I should probably show you a little bit more about the source files with middleman when you're creating source files. All right, we looked at a little like a layout there, but you can actually create individual pages based on those. So this is a simple site here, or sorry, a simple page here, a test page, and we can use Markdown, and I guess hopefully get an idea that you can add content that way. I'll actually show you so you can see what how we use it on GitLab.com. Look at a merge request assigned to myself, probably. Okay, so here's an actual blog post. This is using a similar type of build tool called, well, Jekyll, I guess we're using. And you can see the same thing. It uses, we're specifying a layout and specifying content, and I can go and make changes to this blog post, and the name of the post has the actual date in it. We'll go back and see that. And the name of the post has the date in it, and the date specified here. And it's the content, sorry, the content is used then and generated with the layouts from the static site generator, and we end up with our blog, which spits out these pages like this. And you can see the date gets changed and the title gets, I guess it just, you can see the HTML gets generated, is I guess my point. Does that help explain? I'm curious if there's any questions at this stage. I think I've bunged up the demo a little bit.
So there were a couple. I'm not seeing any new ones. I will ask you the ones that we have here. I just replied to some technical specific ones, but we can go over some others. So the first one is why people at GitLab it's really happy about it.
Why are we happy about the static site generators?
No, GitLab itself.
Oh, I think a lot of people who work at GitLab started contributing to GitLab, actually, and then they were delighted to find out they could get paid to do the work that they like to do. And I think for people who work in open source, you know, you can find yourself volunteering because you like to use a tool, and then you find out, oh, wow, I'd like to do that full time. So I think that's probably why a lot of people are happy about it at GitLab. Yeah,
so I agree. The second question is what's the difference with GitHub Pages? We did answer that at some point. So in case in Jekyll you can use your own highlighter instead of the one that GitHub Pages uses. You can pass your own flags, as this is a build from CI. This is a custom build. It's kind of the same thing, but we use our CI tool, in our integrated CI tool to deploy those sites. So that's what the difference are. And we have also a feature proposal, but we will send that over to the corresponding people. It's about creating merge requests without changes. Why in the workflow is merge request after the first commit and not before? That's actually a great question about it.
Well, you guess you can't really make an empty merge request.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. And I think it's because we call it a merge request. But yeah, so GitHub treats them like as an issue. You also see them in the issue tracker. So that's why I think you can make them empty. But in our case, we have the issues and the merge requests separately. So I think that's why. I don't know if we have any other questions. Kevin, ¿tenemos una pregunta? No, parece que no. So yeah, I will leave you with the final notes, and we can start closing this.
Very good. Thank you, guys. I have to apologize for coming up the demo a bit. I appreciate your patience, and I think if you start on the quick start guide, and if you have any questions, you can go right to the. I think if you can share this link with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say.
Yeah, then people can get help directly.
I don't know if we can send.
Oh, okay. I'll just share my screen again.
But that's, yeah, please.
So do check out this. If you have any questions, on using the Quick Start Guide and getting your site created, come back in here and ask questions in the issue tracker for this project. This is the demo pages project, so hopefully you'll find something you like here to work with.
Yeah. So your Twitter again, it's at nearly there.
That's correct.
Also your GitLab account, it's that one. So you will see Heather in the blog post a lot, and also she's very active in the Drupal community. So maybe you can ask her some things about it. And we're starting to close this. Thanks a lot, Heather. It's really late over there. It's almost midnight.
That's right.
So we will leave you with that. We'll start replying things in the community. We'll start by translating the slides.
And this is part of the challenge, right? So good luck to everybody.
Yeah, the challenge. We haven't announced it, what it's specific about it, but you know it. And for sure we will share it with the community on the 15th. That is the meetup. But you will need to use all of this stuff. You need to use GitLab Pages. So please take a look at it. It's a great tool. I use it, and you will understand more with the challenges. And now I leave Kevin for the closing. Kevin.
¿Ya? ¿Cerramos entonces?
Sí, correcto.
Ya. Bueno, chicos, gracias por haber visto este Hangout. Gracias acá a Felipe y a Heather también por darse el tiempo, como decía Felipe. Súper tarde ya, y acá igual fue justo una hora en que todos salían del trabajo o tenían que ir a instituto, a algún lado. Entonces igual tuvimos una audiencia buena para la hora, y esto se va a ver mucho, esperamos que en las próximas horas. De todas formas, todo el material va a quedar disponible, perdón. Con Felipe lo va a traducir, o ya lo tiene traducido, y eso, pues. Muchas gracias a todos. Les recordamos también que el viernes 15 tenemos el cuarto meetup en la Universidad San Sebastián, a las 17 horas también, y eso va a estar súper bueno. Tenemos buenas charlas. Pronto vamos a estar publicándolo bien fuerte en las comunidades. Y eso, hemos levantado el blog que estuvo caído el día de ayer por mi culpa, pero ya está arriba, y vamos a empezar a publicar harto contenido. Mauricio va a hacer un curso de UX ahí, entonces va a estar bastante bueno. Y eso, pues chicos, gracias a todos por darse el tiempo de ver esto. Dejen sus comentarios, sus preguntas, y si hay preguntas que quedaron, las vamos a responder después con el tiempo o en la comunidad. Así que eso. Gracias a todos.
Chao, chao a todos.
Chao,
Bye.
chao.
Bye, guys.